In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to analyze propaganda posters from World War II. So I'm going to model analyzing two propaganda posters, which is set one, and then you'll have five more sets. Each set really focuses on a specific type of action that citizens in America could take to support the war effort in the 1940s. So taking a look at these two posters, we can draw a lot of information by looking at colors, words, and symbols or objects that you see in the poster. I'm definitely going to want to zoom in on these because the slide isn't showing me them very large. So I'm going to click the link underneath where I can view the image more closely. Now I can zoom into the image using this zoom bar down here. So I can look at the whole image at once, or I can zoom in more closely. So first, let's take a look at the whole image at once. We see it says loose lips might sink ships. And if I take a look at the other poster, it's going to help me figure out what that means. I'm also going to zoom in. I just want to see everything a little bit more closely. Okay, so on the poster, there is a ship that is sinking. And we have bright red and blue on the poster. And at the very bottom, there's a message that says, this poster is published by the House of Seagram as part of its contribution to the national victory effort. So zooming out again, we have a poster that is warning the American public of something. Let's take a look at the second one. In this second poster, it says, this man may die if you talk too much. Here, we see a man's face, and he's looking out of what looks like a porthole. So again, he's on a ship. So the first one says, loose lips might sink ships. And this one says, more straightforwardly, this man may die if you talk too much. So I'm inferring here that these posters were directed towards the American public saying, make sure not to tell our secrets, because if you do, the enemy will find out where these ships are and torpedo them. And so this was a major concern in World War II. If a sailor wrote home to his family and gave too much information and people talked about it, people were afraid that spies would find out, or that people would intercept the letters and figure out where the United States military was positioned and what their plans were, which would lead to deaths. So this was a huge campaign to try and make sure people weren't sharing this information, even though it might have seemed like a normal thing to put into a letter. So when we go back into our slide deck, we've got three questions to answer. The first, what are the posters trying to get the audience to do? So like we said, these posters are focused on convincing Americans that they can't discuss the details of the war, even though it might seem harmless at the time. The second question, what symbols or images are used? What does each represent? We examined the sinking ship, which represents dying sailors and dying troops, and the man in a porthole, which represents men at war in the Navy, risking their lives, saying, make sure not to do anything that will threaten his well-being. And the third question, according to these posters, how could American civilians change the course of World War II? Here, it's similar to the first question. Americans can make sure that they are not going to be talking about the comings and goings of the military, or putting it into letters or anything like that. So you can really gather a lot of information from these propaganda posters. It's not all written there, so you do want to do some deeper analysis. Make sure you're looking for the overall message. Read the text carefully, look at the symbols and the objects in the text, and make sure you understand what they represent or mean, and use the links to zoom into the posters, because you really can get a lot more detail and an understanding if you can really see them very well. If you have any confusion, come back and watch this video.